Is there a power struggle going on in Jacksonville? Let's talk about it. So as we all know, the Jaguars season started off 8-3 and then ended in a disastrous fashion. Went 1-5 down through the rest of the 6 games and finished the season 9-8, which wasn't even good enough to get into the playoffs. Man, if you had told me when the Jaguars were 8-3 that the Jaguars would be missing out on the playoffs, I would have thought that you're crazy. But only needed to go 2-4 the next 6 games, and the Jaguars went 1-5. So the Jaguars are now sitting at home while other teams go to the playoffs. So when something like this happens, when epic collapses happen, heads usually roll. And so far, Jaguars defense coordinator Mike Caldwell got fired, as well as 7 different defensive coaches. And only 3 defensive coaches actually stayed. That's outside linebackers coach Bill Shuey, defensive line coach Rory Segrest, and defensive quality control coach Patrick Riley. And on the offensive side of the ball, 2 different coaches were fired. That's running back coach Bernie Parmalee and assistant offensive line coach Todd Washington. So 9 total dismissals in the last week. And what is next? What's coming up next for the Jaguars? Now, of course, Sunday really shook things up. The Jaguars, I don't think, really had a lot of time to process what the heck was going to go on after the season. In the case that they did lose to the Tennessee Titans, a lot of teams like the Titans probably knew for a while, there's going to be a bunch of staff updates. We're going to fire Mike Vrabel, all this different stuff. But the Jaguars were in a situation where all they had to do was beat the 5-11 Titans. And, right now we are scouting, preparing for a home playoff game against the Cleveland Browns. But life comes at you quick. Now we are sitting at home and there's all different kinds of stuff going on in the building about what's going to go on. And look, when you're asking Jaguar fans, who's to blame for this? A lot of people say Trent Baalke, there's Doug Peterson. Press Taylor is a very popular one. There's even people blaming Trevor Lawrence for this collapse. But I think the main thing is that, people are either on, I think most people were on Trent Baalke's side, and, a lot of people are also on Press Taylor. I think most people are like, okay, get rid of both of these guys. And look, I most of all blame Trent for everything, like Trent Baalke, because look, Trent Baalke, believe it or not, with not having an executive vice president of football operations, Trent Baalke ranks the highest amongst football people in this building, right below Shad Khan. And look, when you're a GM, there's 2 different things you need to do. There's talent evaluation when it comes to looking at a player and like being able to identify how good of a football player he is. And there's also team building. There's an act of like, okay, if we get this guy who I think is a good football player, how is this guy going to fit on our team? And the last couple of drafts, I honestly hated. I hated the last couple of drafts, and I think everybody that was with me, that was, along with my live stream, especially because I would stream the first 2 days of the draft, I'm just like, huh? When things would go on. So, like, and look, with me, like, I'm not a talent evaluator. Like, look, I don't watch like film of all these guys. I just don't have the time for it. You know what I mean? And I'm not like super interested in like looking at how the offensive lineman from Penn State is, or how the wide receiver from Oregon State is. It's just not something that really, really interests me. But I think I know the basics of how to build a team, and that's why I like really hated the last couple drafts. Now, in 2020, the Jaguars drafted Trayvon Walker over Aiden Hutchinson, and look, I'm not going to give him too much grief for that because, look, in year one, obviously Aiden Hutchinson was so much better than Trayvon Walker, but I think in year 2, Trayvon Walker probably had a bigger improvement than Aiden Hutchinson did. Trayvon Walker getting double-digit sacks, but I do still think that Aiden Hutchinson is a better football player. But maybe in year 3, if he makes the same jump as Trayvon Walker made from year 1 to year 2, as he will in year 2 to year 3, maybe it'll be a better conversation. But the Jaguars traded up for Devin Lloyd, and look, Devin Lloyd was a player that very, very athletic, but let's face it, he's an off-ball linebacker, which is a position that not a lot of people really give a whole lot of like value to, that they say it's like a really, really important position. I mean, I haven't looked at the numbers, but like if you look every year, look at the offensive line, or look at the offensive lineman being drafted in the first round. Like look at the tackles, I should say. Check out the wide receivers, check out the quarterbacks, just check out the cornerbacks, check out all the different numbers of these players, that position players that get drafted in the first round of every draft, or even in the first 2 rounds, and compare that to off-ball linebacker. It's just, quite frankly, not the same. And you bring in a guy with Devin Lloyd who has struggled. And look, there are red flags that have been coming out. First of all, he plays in the Pac-12, which, he's not as NFL ready. And, he's just got a lot of learning to do. So that was questionable. And Devin Lloyd has just been very meh. Like, there was a stretch where he looked really good, but like in the Tennessee Titans game, guys, he looked completely lost. That was an awful game by Devin Lloyd. And you draft Luke Fortner in the 3rd round. He's an awful center. And if you look at his, at this NFL.com like prospect analysis, he still has the same issues. He's not a strong player. He plays with a very high pad level. And, the strength is that he's got like 2 different engineering degrees or something like that. But for some reason, he has very low football IQ. You know what I mean? It's just, at least with Taven Bryan, for example. Like, Taven Bryan was a beast of human being. He moved people around and stuff like that. He just had no football IQ. Luke Fortner, on the other hand, has no football IQ and can't move people around. You know what I mean? So there's just not a whole lot of places for him. And then not only that, but the Jaguars drafted Chad Muma in the 3rd round. So it's like, when you look at the way this team is built, it's like, why do you, like, I don't know how Chad Muma, I mean, I heard good things about him, but it's like, I'm sitting here doing the math. It's like, okay, you pay Foye Oluokun a lot of money. Okay, he's obviously going to be your starter. Then you trade up in the 1st round for Devin Lloyd. Okay, that's good. Whatever. But with Chad Muma, look, that's another linebacker. In the NFL these days, 80% of the time you're in nickel formation. 80% of the time you have 2 linebackers on the field. So why are you investing a high pick in another linebacker? You know what I mean? So, okay, you're drafting a special teamer / 3rd linebacker. Just very, very weird. So then we fast forward to 2023. Anton Harrison in the 1st round. Awesome pick. Look, he's a great player. That was definitely a home run there. And then you draft Britton Strange in the 2nd round, who, at the time, it's like, okay, there was a run on tight ends, and it felt like we got the tail end of the run. And, it was kind of weird, but I was like, okay, that's fine. Bringing a tight end, it's going to be one of Peterson's guys, but didn't have a very good rookie season. And the big question mark was Tank Bigsby. The Jaguars are bad in short yardage. The Jaguars need to be better in these situations. So you bring in a running back. You don't bring in a big dude that can move bodies. You bring in a running back and think, oh, if we can't get 1 yard, it'll be the running back that can do it. No, it was Tank Bigsby this year. Even if you're drafting a really good running back, then it's still weird because you have Travis Etienne, who's a high pick. And honestly, with RB2s, I would find RB2s on the streets. 2022, JaMychal Hasty was a great RB2 for us. 2023, Dearness Johnson turned into a pretty good RB2 for us. I don't know why you're drafting something like that. So, and then on top of that, okay, it's the 4th round. Let's get somebody. You get another linebacker in Ventrell Miller. Why are you so upset with linebackers? Why are we investing all these picks in these positions where we got so look at that. That's 3 linebackers in the first 4 rounds. And not only that, but you have Oluokun, who is, you're paying a lot of money to. And now the Jaguars are in a situation where, since they have drafted so bad, because at this point it's like, okay, Brandon Sheriff is getting older. We would like to replace, him with somebody younger, but they don't have anybody that's been learning under Brandon Sheriff now. So it's like, we're going to have to bring him back. The Jaguars could have drafted Osiris Torts in the 2nd round instead of moving back to get Britton Strange. Then now, he could have potentially started for us, or he could have been learning behind Brandon Sheriff. Brandon Sheriff is a smart dude, he's played a lot of football. We have nobody that he is molding to play his position coming up. You know what I mean? And with Oluokun, it's like, we have drafted these 3 linebackers, but now with Oluokun getting expensive, we can't let him go because I don't have confidence in Chad Muma or Ventrell Miller at this point being able to replace Oluokun. It's really, really bad team building here going on. And, like you even look at like every once in a while, these teams, they get a good day 3 pick. Like the Jaguars, I give them props for getting Antonio Johnson. He should be a pretty good player. But outside of that, what day 3 pick has Balky had that's been really good? You know what I mean? Like the Rams, for example, they never have first round picks, but they find guys later. Like they found Puka Nacua in the 5th round. You know what I mean? If the Jaguars had Puka Nacua, we wouldn't have to be making these crazy decisions on, do we give Calvin Ridley a big, a good contract and lose a 2nd round pick in the process? Because right now we have this whole debate about whether or not we keep Calvin Ridley. If you don't keep Calvin Ridley, then what's the alternative? Look, you have like a 1st round pick next year, then you're either losing a 2nd or 3rd round pick. So it's not like we want to rebuild the offensive line. We want to, rebuild a defensive line, but there are certain positions that are not going to be addressed very well. And that's because we have, this is drafting bad. I don't know. It's just really annoying. And the center sucks. Just overall, this was supposed to be a Super Bowl roster. You know what I mean? This is supposed to be our way to push into a Super Bowl. And it just has not been the case. So real quick, guys, I want to give a shout out to BetUS. Guys, BetUS is having a huge competition here on a way to win a way into going to the Super Bowl. Now, here is how to enter for your chance to win 2 Super Bowl tickets through BetUS. Place a bet on any NFL line and share your bet slip on X, minimum $25 bet. Tag the BetUS official Twitter account and also tag the friend that you would be taking with you. Use hashtag BetUSLVIII. Guys, contest will end on the 25th of January with the winner being announced on the 26th. Would be really cool to potentially see one of you guys going to the Super Bowl. And maybe you would take me. Who knows? But yeah, and by the way, guys, there's also Super Bowl lines out there on BetUS. The favorite right now is the 49ers at plus 225, which these pluses mean that if you put down $100, the plus would be how much money you would be getting. So, the NFC favorite, you put $100 down on the 49ers and they win it, you're going to win $225. The Ravens or the AFC favorite at plus 325. The biggest long shot right now is the Pittsburgh Steelers at plus 12,500. So if you put down $100 on the Steelers winning the Super Bowl and they win, you would win $12,500. Big payout, but I don't see it happening. I think you'd be wasting some money. In the AFC South, the Texans are plus 4,000. They're 9th out of 14 teams when it comes to best odds to win the Super Bowl. So yeah, all that is there for you on BetUS, whether you want to enter for the Super Bowl tickets or, whether you want to bet on the Super Bowl or many more things. BetUS is going to offer you a 125% deposit bonus right down in my description below. So thanks, US, for sponsoring this video. Now, guys, rumors are flying right now when it comes to like what is going to go on and really what is going on in the Jaguars front office. Like I said, the Jaguars thought they'd be prepping potentially for the playoffs this week, but now they find themselves at home and trying to figure stuff out. So they almost have some catching up to do. I'm hearing from reading around on like Twitter that like Trent and Trevor Lawrence want Press Taylor gone. Doug actually wants to keep Press Taylor. Shad Khan wants Doug Peterson to be calling plays going forward if they do keep Press Taylor. Shad Khan had a stern talk with Doug Peterson. Trevor Lawrence had a meeting with Shad Khan as well. Trevor Lawrence wants Doug to call plays, and he also doesn't like the way the team is really built. Look, when it comes to me, like a lot of people are blaming Press Taylor, but I almost put more blame on Doug Peterson, to be completely honest, because look, this is Doug Peterson's offense. If the Jaguars fire Press Taylor, then all the Jaguars would be doing Doug Peterson would just bring in another guy that can kind of run his system. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that there needs to be like some duties taken away from Press Taylor because look, Doug Peterson for some reason has a huge affinity for him. Doug Peterson or Press Taylor is the reason why Doug Peterson got fired from Philadelphia, look, the ownership didn't want Press Taylor. The GM didn't want Press Taylor. So they said, okay, Doug, you're out. I mean, does that sound anything familiar with what's going on over here? Kind of crazy, right? I'm just not understanding why he loves him so much. But like for me, I if I were to do anything, if I were to either get rid of a Press Taylor or get rid of Trent, or if I were to either get rid of Press Taylor or get rid of Trent Baalke, I would definitely lean more toward getting rid of Trent Baalke, but I would get rid of them both. You know what I mean? Like, because you can get rid of Press Taylor and still have the same system. Because I just don't think, there's people that want Doug Peterson out of here too. I just don't think giving Trevor Lawrence a third offensive system to learn in 4 years is going to be ideal for him. I just think that, look, if you keep Press Taylor around, shift play calling duties to Doug, and just do a deep dive in this offense on what is going on. You know what I mean? And if I'm being honest, like I think the way the roster was built really hurt this offense. I mean, first of all, the offense was held back by no running game. Okay, like I just don't know if you're a football team, if your team cannot run the ball, what you're supposed to do. Because a lot of people complain about Press Taylor and his press call is play calling, all of that. And I'm in a minority where I really don't think it was that bad. But if everybody thinks it's bad, then I guess I'll have to. If it really was that bad, then I'll have to side with them. But like I said, if you can't run the ball, I think it puts you at a major disadvantage. And then all the turnovers the offense was committing, and everybody on offense was committing turnovers. Trevor Lawrence was, the wide receivers were, it was crazy. The offensive line would miss blocks, so Trevor Lawrence would fumble. It was just crazy. The only person that wasn't turning the ball over was Travis Etienne, so shout out to him. So, and then Trevor Lawrence's injuries, as they piled up, the offense was bad. Man, like before Trevor Lawrence got hurt, Trevor Lawrence was like 12-4 in his last 16 regular season games. And then after he got hurt in the Bengals game, he was like 0-4 in the rest of his starts. Just, it was rough, and he definitely looked like a different quarterback. And then the wide receiver injuries, you know what I mean? They were like, when you looked at it, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and Jamal Agnew were all in and out of the lineup the whole entire year. So it was tough. So I know for me, I would like for more shakeup to occur. I would like Trent Baalke and Press Taylor gone. I just think that, change needs to happen, especially if all these people want Press Taylor gone, especially if Trevor Lawrence wants Press Taylor gone. I just don't understand really what's going on when it comes to. I don't understand why Baalke has so much power. You know what I mean? If around the NFL, he has a terrible rap. He is not very good at building a football team. I just don't understand why Shad Khan just thinks he's such a czar. And if Shad Khan wants Doug Peterson to call plays, why is Doug Peterson not calling plays? You know what I mean? Shad Khan, you're the boss. You delegate responsibilities. If you say, Doug, you're calling plays, Doug is supposed to say, yes, sir. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know, man. It's just so weird. This whole entire organization just confuses the crap out of me because nothing makes sense. Nothing really makes sense. But we'll see what happens. I don't expect Press Taylor or Trent Baalke to be gone, if I'm being completely honest with you. And I don't think any of you guys do too. It's just weird, man. It's just weird. So like I said, offensive guys need to take a deep dive. The defense, look, they're Doug Peterson, I think, is pretty hands off of the defense. I'll probably make a separate video when it comes to different updates that the defense coordinator position on who we're interviewing. I mean, they already got denied interviews with the Atlanta Falcons DC as well as the Carolina Panthers DC. So yeah, good stuff going on there. So we'll just have to see. Thank you guys for watching this video. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring 125% deposit bonus down below. Let me know if you're confused as me, and go Jags.